was a typo, and I'm like, welcome to Amazon Answers. I'm Jared, and today we are discussing the Wonder Woman run by Michael Conrad and Becky Cloonan. So let me go over the info on this run real quick before we get started. So here's the interesting thing about this run. So what happened was death metal happens and Wonder Woman is dead, if you will, but she's really not. It's just because it's DC stuff. They have to do that type of stuff. But what happens in this is Diana actually is transported to Valhalla, which I felt was pretty cool because with a character so like linked to Greek mythology, it felt really cool to see her explore other mythologies, at least for like a volume as this goes on. And as far as the rest of the world knows, she's dead. They don't know she's been transported to like another realm. And this is where she like meets like Siegfried, which I have mixed feelings of as a character. But beyond that, it's like, so you have that, you have again, her traveling through Valhalla. And then also part of this run, you have her like briefly becoming like Shazam. Then you have the Trial of the Amazons. I count as part of it. And see, this is the run that I always label as, is it perfect? No. But is it as bad as people say? No, because here's the thing about it. Part of the reason why that I do these Amazon Answer streams is because with the current state of the book under Tom King, it's easy to think that Wonder Woman doesn't have good comics because of the current run. But what I wanted to do with these is to highlight other streams and talk about other runs and talk about, okay, so is it good? Is it bad? Let's reevaluate the past. And I gotta say, I'm glad I did this because when I'm looking at this run, first off, Diana feels like the central figure in this run. And that is the really important part because it's like a lot of people have critiqued Wonder Woman runs in the past as being too focused on like the love interest or onto the villain. But this is the run to actually do something about it and go, okay, so we're going to focus more on Wonder Woman and have her her story throughout this storyline. The other thing that this really did well is significantly expand like the Amazons and their world, because it's like even in Trial of the Amazons, which I have right here, they specifically include like these Hickman era like data pages and stuff that expand upon the world. Hey, what's up, NJ? That expand upon the world of the Amazons. Like say, hey, how does the contest work? How does the Doom's Doorway thing work? So anyone that maybe is not that clear on how it actually works, they can actually go, okay, you know what? Now I'm getting this explained to me, so people can appreciate this more. And that's really. That's the really cool part about the Cloonrad run, is that it's very new reader friendly in many ways. And I really dug that specifically because one of the things that I really enjoy doing is learning more about like the Amazons and such. I mean, even in Tales of the Amazons or even in the arc that deals with the establishment of like, it shows how new people join the Amazons. They really flesh into all of the like the process of becoming a member, choosing a new family name, choosing a new name, essentially. It's like when you I know it's in the Nubia book, but I still count it as like this era. And it's like they significantly like flesh out the Amazons. Each Amazon felt like a particular character as opposed to just being a variant of Diana, because that's one of the like challenges of this type of a Wonder Woman run that heavily features the Amazons. But what questions do you guys have about this run? What comments do you have? Did you guys enjoy it? Did you not enjoy it? Are you maybe enjoying it more in light of Tom King's run? Let me know below. I want to hear from you guys. But I will say that again, continuing through this, there is like a ton of really, really, really great stuff in this run. And that's why, again, I cover runs that are controversial, to say the least, because the problem with a lot of comic book fans, I'm not gonna say a lot, the problem with the most vocal comic book fans is that they treat a run as if it has one or two things that you're not a fan of. The entire run collapses, which, that fair, I could see how you maybe would think that, but there's like too much of that, like there's too much of like there's too much of that in the fandom, because and it's like, if you're wondering, well, Jerry, how do you hate the Tom King run? Well, it's simple, because with that, there's like too much bad stuff like stacking on. With this, it's like one or two things. Like, as I mentioned before, I'm not the biggest fan of Siegfried, but I get, hey, what's up, Cameron? But I get what they were going for with like with that, and trying to give her a different love interest. Also, Steve was in this, but not in relationship with Diana, which was ideal. He was more of like an ally and stuff. But it's like, I really wish that this run could get more of the attention that it deserves, and people could appreciate it more, because there is so much good stuff in this. So Cloonrad right off the back, how's he write Diana? Really well, really freaking well. Like, so he writes Diana as like tough, but also like he writes Diana really balanced. And as you guys know, I always say the key to writing a good Wonder Woman is you want to have balance, because she is a warrior and a peaceful person. Some might call that a walking contradiction, but they don't understand the character if they say that. It's funny how Tom King says that. But when you deal with like Diana, and I deal with how he writes Diana, it is solid. Honestly, it's one of the more balanced takes on Diana that I personally have read, because it's like you also have a certain bit of humor, like when he subtly tries to like. So there's a scene where where Wonder Woman's on the Justice League watchtower and the power's out, and Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman are crawling through the air ducts, and Batman goes and Superman goes, I could just fly to the other end. And then Bruce goes, afraid of getting your hands dirty. And then Diana says, I assure you, Clark knows a thing or two about getting his hands dirty. I'm like, just that humor alone is like perfect. Just the way that he balances humor and storytelling in there is freaking tastic. I really, really, really appreciate this. It's really fun. So let me hear from you. What other points do you guys want to talk about with that? How are her villains in this one? They include a lot of really interesting villains in this. Like, they include like a bunch of really, really, really cool stuff. And by Brand says, I love Wonder Woman, but I gotta say, Cloonan at the end of the run, when we got into Milk, etc., a huge no for me. Where was that? Because at the end of the run, it's not that. The end of the run, she deals with like the gods and such. So, can you give me a citation for that? But a lot of this involves a lot of her villains, like the gods, and they include like a good portion of Diana's world. And again, it's like in the 740s, I think. Okay, so do I have that one? Okay, I don't have that volume yet. Okay, so I can check that. That may not. I don't think that's even like in the Cloonrad run. Hang on. Let me see. When did the run go for? Volume 1, I'm going to see what this collects. Volume 1 collects 770. So Cloonrad was not on the Wonder Woman book at that point. So that's not necessarily Cloonrad. That's like that's a different writer if it's 740 because he came on 770. But besides that, let's go on with this. But they effectively like really like, again, it's all about balance, and that's when I'm going through this run myself, I'm like, okay. So, and when you invent other characters for this run, it does add to the character. It doesn't seem to detached. It doesn't seem too detached from Wonder Woman as a character like it does in like other characters, like in the King run per se. Sorry, it was 794. Okay, so it's 794. Do I have that one? I might. All right. Let me see that. Okay, let me look that up real quick. I might as well. Let's see that. All right. What does Diana go through in this run? So what she goes through is, first off, she essentially has to fight her way back to the world, and it's really well done when she does return, because it's like the volume where she returns, which is this one is called Through a Glass Darkly, begins with the memorial issue for Wonder Woman, because remember, according to the world, she died at the end of death metal, so it's a really cool like reflection about Diana. Everyone says that we probably would be dead with her. And then what's kind of cool is that in 780 she just pops in and she goes, "Hey, I'm back." And it's like all she gets to like say to get a welcome back from like Dinah, her mother, and like all the other Wonder Girls, and everyone's like, "Oh, she's back." It's like everyone treats Diana so like reverently in this. And that's why I look past all of that, like all of the not necessarily like good stuff, but bad stuff was what I mean, because there's so much stuff. It's time to fix this mess and bring it back ASAP. Yeah, exactly. I've said that many times, NJ. But yeah, it's like there's a ton of that. Also, 791 and 800 were just validation books. I'm totally cool with that. But why not set a proper send off and lead? And we got nothing in Tom King's trash story in it. Well, because again, it's like they didn't give them enough time. They were like, "Oh, your story's ending," and then they didn't necessarily give them enough time to wrap up their storyline. So that's why I excuse that, because it was out of their control by the time you got to the King run and everything ending. So they weren't given a proper send off, in other words. Because if they did, I have no doubt that they would have got that they would have that send off there. And it's like, but it's, again, let's talk about that. In 800, it's all about the characters talking about the positive effect that Diana has on their lives. So all of this is just, hey, we love Diana, so there's nothing wrong with that. It's like a full circle moment. And again, I think that if they had gotten the time, I think that they would have been able to wrap everything up perfectly. I think they would have, because I've seen too much of this run to say, okay, they wouldn't have done anything good. I'm just going to tell you that right there. To me, I'm buying the book. I don't need that. Okay, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. But I already love Diana. Yeah, exactly. It's like, but at the very least, let me put it this way, Bram. Oftentimes Diana is used as a mouthpiece to prop up other characters. So it's kind of nice to see the opposite happens in that. I get that maybe it's not like your cup of tea, but at the very least, they're doing this to like prop up Diana. How much is Steve in this run, and what does he contribute? He's more of like an ally to the run. I think he's even dating someone else in this run. So this is the ideal use of Steve. If you really want to use Steve, you could use him as like an ally that occasionally pops in to help Diana deal with stuff. And with that, instead of like him being the main focus of the run, as he is when you get to like to the King run and such. So this is where I go with the more believable. Okay, so you want to focus less on the love interest and more on like Diana as a character. And again, once she leaves Valhalla, even Siegfried stops being a love interest. Yeah, Steve was dating someone else, and then King just crammed them back together, new build. Well, yeah, it's because it would. Yeah, it's one of those things where if King actually cared about the character, he would have like at least wrapped up that storyline instead of like cramming them together. That's why I doubt that King was actually reading Wonder Woman beforehand, because he would have seen this. I'm like, you would have clearly seen this type of story in there. You would have clearly seen this plot point. But then again, it's like, no, he really didn't care. So I'm just like, and this is what we got. But anyway, on to this. Now, in terms of like, but I will say I do have a Cloonrad issue that's signed, by the way. I just want to bring that up. So I do have Wonder Woman 800, and this was signed by Gal Gadot, so I do appreciate that. Looks like DCU Wonder Woman will go the Gods and Mortals route. The God of War route. No, okay. Where are you taking that from? Where are you taking that from? Because I've seen the opposite. I don't know where you're getting that from. Sidelining Hippolyta was one of the things I disliked about this run. Yeah, fair enough. That's one of the things I don't necessarily like. I get what they were going for, trying to do like something new that wasn't really done before. And you could say that maybe someone else would have done. Hey, thanks, Brandon. You could say that like maybe someone doing like maybe if they had gone on with the run instead of it going to King, that they would have done something with Hippolyta like more substantial. But then again, we'll never know. That's the thing. But it's like at the very least, at least they did something kind of cool. I'm not going to judge them for what happened or didn't happen with concepts they introduced, but the next writer didn't do anything with. So I'm taking this run as a closed, isolated story for the purpose of this review. Also, the art was pretty good because you had artists like Joelle Jones, you had Jim Chung, you had a bunch of great artists that really depict women well and depict Wonder Woman really well. So it was a good combination for a run of this caliber, essentially. And here's the thing. When people say maybe this run didn't sell, here's the other issue that yeah, exactly. That's why I say, even if you had problems with this run, who would you rather have? Because it was either this or King. Now, here's the thing. When people say that maybe this run didn't sell well, there's a little bit of context for this. When they got on the book, the Wonder Woman book was already a low sellers, and they didn't give them enough time to properly build the book back up. That's really the context that you should go off of when discussing about, oh, this run didn't sell well. Yeah, well, it started off in a low selling point. They gave this run all of the disadvantages they could, and then look what happened here. Like you could have actually done this well if you had given it the time to build, but they really didn't give it the support that maybe it could have used. It's very odd that writers have so many issues lately. Yeah, I know. Isn't that funny? It's one of the things where it's one of those things where I'm like, and I talked about this on the episode of Super Wonder Legacy that's coming out tomorrow. It's like, okay, so if Wonder Woman is this very vital character to DC, why are you not treating her as such? Because it's like, if she is a member of the Trinity and you don't do anything with her, all you're doing is you're validating the like Britton Mai's opinion that the Trinity is really a superficial concept that's a marketing gimmick, which we all know it is, but that's besides the point. But so what other quick questions about this run do you guys have? What other comments? What other points of interest do you guys want to talk about? Art, whatever. I also don't regard King writing as writing Wonder Woman. It's just cosplay, insert any person as King's. Yeah, exactly. And it's because King has been like has been opened that he has like a bunch of like prompts on his computer that he just forces any character that he's assigned to write in there. It's like if he wants to write a drunk pirate girl, okay, I'll just write Supergirl. There you go. That's how that works. And I'm like, that's why again, it's so superficial that when he leaves the book inevitably, which could be sooner rather than later, I doubt that anyone is ever going to remember his run other than how bad it was. Really, it's not going to age well. And as like with his Batman run, it's not really talked about that much. It's mostly just talked about for the crappy, like the wedding the wedding bait and switch, but it's not really remembered well. So I'm like, yeah, that's the way that's the way most King books are. And I feel like at the end of this, what's going to happen is we'll get like, oh, the King is writing Wonder Woman. A year from when he ends, for when he finally stops writing Wonder Woman, essentially what the conversation will roll into is, hey, remember when King wrote Wonder Woman? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I do. Anyway, that's it. Even with Trinity, they'll either retcon her so she's unrecognizable from his version and everyone will remember him from writing a crappy version of her, or they'll just retcon the character out of continuity, which I think they should retcon her out of continuity. But hey, if they don't, it still won't be his version of the character. Yeah, there's a huge danger with Supergirl movie is successful. Particularly when Gunn just said that she's gonna be more violent than she was in the Supergirl book, and I go, "Are you you're further trying to like assassinate these characters beyond the fact that you made Jor-El and Lara evil, and then when challenged about it with Supergirl." Gunn goes, well, I never said all Kryptonians are evil. So I'm like, okay, so you're assassinating Jor-El and Lara specifically. And then the minute he implies that, well, he indicates that he was inspired by the Byrne run of Superman. I'm like, everything is falling into place. And he tried to say that like Birthright was the inspiration for that. But I go, that's never in Birthright. So I'm like, you're just making crap up to make people think that that this wasn't like your change. And then he goes, like Deadpool is always going to be with Wolverine now. Well, yeah, to a degree, but they've done a lot of team ups in the past, and I feel like they don't want to necessarily put an R-rated character with Spider-Man, even though Deadpool's also teamed up with Spider-Man in the past. What else you guys got to talk about? What else do you guys want to ask about in terms of like content? I also don't like they write Hera as a whole villain in the main line. She's an ally and one of her patrons. She's been a villain before, so not really a villain, but it's like because there are versions of the Greek mythology story where Hera is like a vengeful, like jilted wife. I don't like it, but it's like it's not just this run that did it. And it's like that's been a thing in Wonder Woman for a long time. Again, not necessarily good, but it's like it's not specifically them. So I don't necessarily like heap that under Cloonrad. And then Gavin says, I have no problem with evil Kryptonians, but the thing is, we have those in the form of, yeah, exactly. But it's like, even in Man of Steel, you had evil Kryptonians, but it was firmly said that wasn't all Kryptonians. With this BS, it implies that it's all Kryptonians, and Gunn is trying to walk it back because he's too proud to retcon it. Because even the interviewer said, if you retcon it, it undermines the entire story of the movie. And I go, if you base it upon a run that a plot point that you know the fans are not going to like, what are you doing? What are you doing? It doesn't work. But then again, this is also him that indicates that like he doesn't want to do the Legion of Superheroes because he doesn't want to do like time travel. But it's like, okay, you know what? That's fine. But in terms of like if I think the Cloonrad Amazons would work well for the DCU Amazons, that's an interesting point to bring up. Wait, Curious what you think of the liar storyline. Oh, that's not necessarily Cloonrad, but I really I dug that as like an expansion on Maxwell Lord, and then I'm definitely going to talk about that when I talk about the Tamaki run, because I'm going to talk about all the Wonder Woman runs. But it wasn't necessary. It was really cool, and a really like, it kind of recontextualizes Maxwell Lord a little bit, and like adds to the mythology, but in an interesting way. It's pretty interesting stuff. Yeah, exactly. Can you explain more about DC's Thor? Because I have no clue about him, but he was cool in this run. I think he's more of the mythologically accurate Thor. I mean, technically, if you're going off of the DC, if you're going off of like the Omniverse and everything is canon, they did technically meet in the Immortal Beloved storyline, because Superman eventually gets Thor's hammer. So it's like, it's I've never really read that much about DC's Thor in order to have like an opinion about it. But I think he's less of like, he's more of like a morally ambiguous god, kind of like the way Zack Snyder portrayed him in Twilight of the Gods, essentially. That's kind of where I kind of attribute that. What other questions do you guys have? And what other points do you guys want to make about Wonder Woman, DC in general? Let's hear it. Let's hear it. What other points do you guys have about this run, Cloonrad's run, compared to other runs? Because I got to say, while it's not my favorite Wonder Woman run, it's like, it's in my top 5, I think. What new characters show up? Well, you have Siegfried, who is a Viking that she meets in Valhalla. I'll pull him up. DC Comics, Siegfried. Let me go to here. All right, here he is. And then he's like an ally / love interest for Diana when she and they try and they show up. He shows up in the main continuity, and then he and Steve are roommates. But once she comes back to Man's World, she doesn't like follow through with him as a love interest. So there's that. That's why I'm like, with this, I don't really mind. But do I like Diana necessarily being a party girl? No, I do not like that at all. What are your opinions on Dr. Psycho and him being an agent of Hera in the whole Milk era, Milk saga? I mean, it's. Would I necessarily go in that direction for Psycho doing the will of a goddess? No, I really wouldn't. So it's like, I'm kind of indifferent to it. That's kind of my thing. It's like, I needed to check that out more deeply. But it's like, see, at least they were trying new stuff. That's what I'm gonna do. Janice was pretty cool. Also, yes, he was badass. But it's like, see, the reason why I give this run so like allowances as for trying new things is because all of the things they're trying builds upon Diana as a character and is not forced upon her. Like Trinity builds nothing to Diana's character, whereas it builds Steve's character but not Diana. Whereas in this, it's like, yeah, they're trying stuff, and you know what? It won't all land, but at the very least, you can tell that they at least love the character, and that's why that's more than I can say for like the current run or even a lot of modern Wonder Woman runs. So a lot of it is just adding to it without thinking about how this contributes to Diana. The woman haters serving the goddess of womanhood marriage. It is very ironic. So I do think that's kind of funny. They went deep into Greek mythology. Yes, exactly. And a lot of the best runs, like Rucka, do that because that is a significant portion of Diana. Now, whether or not you like that particular, whether or not they some writers go too far in that direction. That's another thing. I don't necessarily think that they went too far into Greek mythology, because you still had characters like Dr. Psycho. You also had Cheetah, because this was the run where they like turned Cheetah into a hero, and like sort of like, which I'm not so sure I like the like retconning about the Cheetah curse, but still it's like, okay, I can kind of see where you're going for. When you look at it, they were left with starting a series with a now dead character. It was that, yes, exactly. When you they did the best, in my mind, they did the best they could for what they were given. And what they were given, when you look at it isolated from all the BS, it's some really, really, really cool stuff. I'm just gonna tell you that right there. And it's like, again, you don't have to like it, but compared to what we've gotten, it's actually pretty interesting here. Hey, what's up, Sean Franklin? How you doing? But it's like, yeah, exactly. They were trying their best to introduce new concepts to Wonder Woman that build upon her, and they were doing it in a run that's already starting off at a disadvantage. That's why I'm like, yeah, was it all perfect? No, but you know what? Considering the circumstances that they started this run in, it's actually turned out pretty good. But so what else do you guys want to talk about in terms of this run? So that's why I'm going to highlight Brand's comment again. That's why when you're evaluating the Cloonrad era of Wonder Woman, or if you're evaluating really any run, because it works for any run, look at the context behind like when this run was coming out and what was going on at the time, because that will kind of like reevaluate how you look at it. Because when you look at like the context, it's like, yeah, was it all perfect? No, but it's like, I understand, and they did like the best they could. So let's really like go with that. But so what other questions, comments do you guys have about Wonder Woman? Because all I know is that oh my god, that King issue was so bad. It was so bad. I could have done without the death of Apollo. We did that in the Ascension stuff with Diana. It seems like an editorial pressure move. Yeah, exactly. Also, look at how much of this was like editorial pressure, because really, it's that's why. That's another reason why I give this like a pass, because of all the editorial stuff they had to deal with. So it's like, again, when you look at what they had to deal with, it actually turned out pretty competent, if I may say so myself. But it's like, and again, the death of Hippolyta, if they had been given more time on the run, I feel like they could have actually made that a really cool like Wonder Woman story. But again, that requires them to be actually supported by DC. And and we all know that's like pulling teeth, honestly. That's like pulling teeth. And at least it was based on it had some precedent in the comics too. So it's like, oh, okay, that kind of works. Exactly. But what other points of interest would you guys like to talk about? Eros and Diana got maybe 4 to 5 issues due to Lazarus Plant. This could have been way more stretched out. True, but that's the issue with doing like in continuity comics, because then you have to contend with any events that are going on at the time, and you really don't have a choice. I mean, you do if it's a minor character that really shouldn't like tie in. But when you have like Wonder Woman, Superman, Batman, you do have to tie in to a degree. So again, it's like with that. Don't know about you, but I didn't like Hera fool Diana. Like she isn't smart as hell and took her hostage. Did she? I mean, yeah, but I did really like what that led to because in the essentially the Revenge of the Gods storyline, which I have here, by the way, this is one of my favorite Wonder Woman covers of all time. It's like it looks practically 3D. So I will always sing the praises. Again, this run had some of the best covers in Wonder Woman like ever. I would argue, like some of the best. I forgot all about Lazarus Planet. What's happening now, or did it end? It ended. Another awesome cover. Yeah, I know, right? And then I really dug this because it's like I got hyped up when like the other thing, we actually got to see Ares teaming up with Diana to fight the gods. You had Diana, you had Ares, you had Siegfried, you had Yara, you had Mary Marvel, you even had Cheetah teaming up. And I really, really dug this like epic battle of God versus God in the middle of the city. And then Diana is bequeathed with like Shazam's powers because she's injured. And then we get this really, really awesome Wonder Woman Shazam costume. And I'm like, that should be a skin in a video game. Like that is like, and maybe also a McFarlane action figure. Because I'm sorry, no matter what you think about the run, they have fantastic visuals like that. I'm like, oh, geez. And most people forgot about Lazarus Planet. LOL. It's better that way. It gave us Night Terrors. Well, Night Terrors didn't exactly work because you had all this positive buildup for Dawn of DC, and then you just put a stop to all the good stuff with Night Terrors all of a sudden in a summer event, mind you. Because I'm like, in a summer event, you do something that's better as a Halloween event. What are you doing? Like, I'm sorry, that is like not a good idea at all. Like, what are you doing? It's like at the very least, like at the very least, have it be like what's the word, a Halloween event, because it would have worked better there. But it's like then I'm reading Hal Jordan, and it's like okay, I'm loving the Green Lantern story, and then it's like, see you later. Yes, Summerween, right, Brandon? That's pretty much what it is, and I'm just like, what are you doing, guys? What are you doing? But in terms of like how I rate the Cloonrad run for Wonder Woman out of 10, I give it about a 7 to 7.5 out of 10. Well, yeah, the Green Lantern Night Terrors work was great. Here to join you in the praise of Tom King. Well, you're not gonna get that, Legion, I guarantee you. So yeah, I give the Cloonrad run like a 7 to a 7.5 out of 10. How's it going, man? It's doing great, Legion. How are you, man? Good to see ya. And I ranked this in terms of my Wonder Woman rankings of runs. It's post-Crisis Rucka. Actually, no, it's Perez, obviously. Post-Crisis Rucka. This. So it's my third favorite Wonder Woman run so far that I've covered. I'm going to cover, obviously, the Jimenez run because I'm getting the omnibus in August. So I'm going to definitely be reviewing that. So be on the lookout for that for sure in August. And maybe Azzarello as an Elseworld. Simone is like one of my least favorite because it just falls apart real fast. Billy hitting on Yara was pretty funny. Before he says anything, Yara's like, no. Yeah, exactly. It's also they gave Yara something to do in this. And when you're dealing with a run that came after this that like either assassinates the Wonder Girls or doesn't use them, I'm sorry. I gotta go with this. I'm a strong 6 in this run. I think they were given a really bad situation to deal with that they couldn't overcome. Yeah, King's runs 0. I definitely agree. Have you read Dead Earth yet? Oh, yes. That's another thing I need to cover eventually. Actually, you know what? If you guys want, next week, I'll cover that story as kind of a palate cleanser as opposed to covering big runs. So, like, we can build that up. You know what? I think I'll do that. I'm going to cover Dead Earth next week because that that counts as an Elseworlds run. I'll use that. And it's one of like, it's like whenever people say like Wonder Woman doesn't have good storylines, point to to Dead Earth, and that's one. Not perfect again, but it's like it's so close there. It's so freaking close. It is one of like the most unique and hella awesome Wonder Woman stories like ever. And that's the thing. That's one of the reasons why I do these streams, because people say like I feel bad for a few folks that aren't digging. It's more than a few folks, Legion. The book is tanking, but I'm not gonna deal with this. I'm not debating King right now. But it's like as far as like Dead Earth, it's like I want to like Daniel Warren Johnson that ever misses. Have you reading Transformers run? It's great. But it's like as with this, it's like the purpose of these streams is to show people that say that like Wonder Woman doesn't have good comics. There you go. And plus my also thing is to show people that like when you look at when you have read Wonder Woman, you see why the King run doesn't work. That wasn't debating talking. I was responding to the other person in the chat. Oh, okay, but that's fine. But it's more, like put this way, Legion, it's more than a few people that hate this run. Even people that like Tom King don't like it. It's fine if you like it, but don't assume most people like it. But it's like so going on with this. But anyway, so we have that for Wonder Woman Elseworld story. I can even talk about like future state Wonder Woman. I plan on covering Earth 1 eventually, but it's like I need to find the right time to do Earth 1. I need to find the right time because there's like a lot in that I'm like, no. And then by September or like whenever the omnibus comes out, that's when I'll cover John Byrne's Wonder Woman for sure. So it's like, again, if there's a Wonder Woman run or story that I need to cover, I will definitely do that. What do you think of Cloonrad introducing a lot of Golden Age stuff? Etta Candy, man, that was that it was a throwback. Well, Etta Candy, that they didn't reintroduce Etta Candy. Etta Candy was like retconned and rebirth to being part of the main continuity stuff. So it's not necessarily like that. I talked to hundreds of fans online. It's definitely a pocket that just hates on it. No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Including a recommendation with award circuits. The award thing is the most like self-congratulatory thing ever. So I'm not buying that. And if most people liked it, why isn't it selling well? So, but not a conversation for now. I'm not dealing with this. But they were pulling things from the 40s. Yeah, but other writers did that previously. Like, but in terms of like bringing in like modernizing the Golden Age, I like that. This one gave Diana some impressive strength feats, like crushing the Mjolnir, beating a Roman god, implying Diana imprisoning Kronos at Tartarus when she revived the gods. Yeah, they made Diana a badass in this. It's one of those like runs that I'm like, oh, if you really love that, why is the new god selling better? Literally everyone pulling it loves it, but that's New Gods. It's not Wonder Woman. That's the point. But it's like if Wonder Woman is like the biggest thing, if Wonder Woman is supposedly as beloved as you think it is, it should be selling more. But anyway, but it's like, again, it's like the reason why I give the Cloonan run a 7 out of 10 is because Siegfried is kind of underdeveloped and they pushed too fast for him to be a love interest. There were a few things that even you guys have mentioned that I didn't like, but overall, it's not entirely a bad run whatsoever. She also had respect for the gods, unlike Zeus and Batman and Tom King. Yeah, exactly. Legion, I know previously you had said that you hadn't read that much Wonder Woman. Go back and read more. And then get back to me on if Tom King is a master of writing Wonder Woman, because he's not. Trust me. As someone that has read practically every Wonder Woman book on my shelf and tries to read like as much as I can, he's not the best Wonder Woman writer. And even he has basically indicated that much so. And the very fact that he said that he's not giving up on Wonder Woman means he knows people hate the run. Anyway, continuing on. But as for that, I'm like, I never said it was topping sales charts. Sales charts, it doesn't equal quality. Indies are a great example. Yeah, but sales charts is what DC really cares about. They should care about that. DC is a company. They can't keep books that are bleeding sales running, Legion. Oh, I definitely never claimed he's the best on her. You said he's a master on her. Don't reframe your argument. You said he's the master. In fact, I will bring that up. Hang on. Yeah, it's masterfully written. Yeah, it's not it's not a Wonder Woman story. It's not. Not to be that guy, but can you please stop? That's a good idea. That's a good idea. I said it was master. I'm not dealing with this anymore. I could do another when the run ends. I'll do a stream about it. It definitely. But I would encourage you, Legion, to check out my other content, the King Run, and check out what people that actually read a lot of Wonder Woman have said about the run, because it's not as good as you think it is. So correct yourself. I didn't say he's the master. You said it's masterfully written. When you're saying something's masterfully written, you're implying he's the master of one of that. I'm not dealing with this anymore. Forget it. Just stop, ladies. Let's get back to it. Yeah, exactly. Please stop. We're not debating Wonder Woman. This always happens. So, as for this, when I'm the other parts that really dig me with the Cloonrad run is, again, and they did this a lot with like even the Nubia and the Amazons. I know it wasn't written by Cloonrad, but it's part of like their saga. And in like Trial of the Amazons and stuff, you get I don't like Diana being a party girl. Personally speaking, I like, in my opinion, I don't have a problem with her having fun. Yeah, but no, Diana would not have a one night stand. And Jay, I'm just going to tell you that right there. It's like, no. That's not Diana as a character. That's someone that wants Diana to be that way as a character. But anyway, but it's like with this, they really took a lot of time to like dig into to Themyscira and tell us how a lot of these concepts work. Because as someone that enjoys like that deep dive lore stuff, I really, really, really enjoy that. And it's really cool because I've had questions about how a lot of this stuff works. What storyline does this Wonder Woman come from? Is she a different? No, it's the main continuity Wonder Woman. It's the run that preceded the King's run. But it's like, as I was saying, with this, it's like, because I've had a lot of questions, like how does the Guarding the Gates of Tartarus thing works? How does the contest work? They have full on like, it reminds me again like Hickman on X-Men, where he had all those data sheets going full Greek. Yeah, exactly. But well, here's the thing: just because she's a creature of Greek mythology doesn't mean that. Well, here's the thing, NJ. Let's talk about that. If you want to go fully accurate to Greek mythology, then you shouldn't hate the Amazons done by Brian Azzarello, because that's accurate to Greek mythology. What's the difference then? Where do we stop going full on like, wait, Donna and Cassie. Donna and Cassie is fantastic in this. So during the like Trial of the Amazons, obviously Hippolyta is dead, and they want to find out who killed her. So instead of calling Batman like a certain writer does, Cassie herself becomes like a detective and whittles down the list of suspects and actually solves the crime. That was really cool. All of this, all of the Wonder Girls, including, it's like, even like Yara gets like a moment with Diana where Diana welcomes her as part of the Wonder family. It's like you could definitely tell that Cloonan and Conrad loved Wonder Woman by the amount of like attention that they gave Detective Cassie. Exactly, Cameron. You could definitely tell that just by reading this, on how deep they went into Wonder Woman's lore, that they love the character and were obviously fans of the character. That much is, to me, obvious. It may not be obvious to you, but it's obvious to me that they because they got too much stuff right, and they're referencing too much stuff, even like obscure stuff, that I'm like, oh wow, you actually did that. I love that. Yeah, Donna and Philip is every major Wonder Woman character had something cool to do in this run, and that is so awesome, because it's like in too many runs where like they give like Batman cool stuff to do in the run, Superman, any other character that's not related to Wonder Woman, the cool stuff to do. No, in this run, it's straight up the Wonder Woman related characters are given the attention they deserve, and that's why I will always go to bat for this run, because while I had some issues with it, the fact that it gave that it literally did stuff with every Wonder Girl and stuff that fit their character too. It didn't force it, and that Diana actually acted like herself. It's just more and more. It just stacks and stacks of all the good stuff that this run did to like really improve, to really like expand on Wonder Woman's lore. And it honestly, and Conrad, Cloonan, if you're watching this, thank you, because it is like incredible. Yeah, and Artemis is great. She's someone else, and I like her a lot. Yeah, it's like even the other Amazon tribes were expanded. And as someone that really appreciates deep lore, particularly lore relating to like the Amazons and Greek mythology, this was like full on a love letter to all this stuff. And I am just like, I am blown away with everything that they were able to do organically. Like, not once to me did it ever seem like, okay, why are we spending so much time with this useless stuff? No, it was all, this builds upon either Diana or like, it builds on either Diana or her world. And in many ways, NJ, it was like they were combining Wonder Woman and Sensation Comics into one, and they did this so masterfully. And then Brand says, Jim just posted the new episode. I'm going right to your Wonder Woman review, just getting out the popcorn. Oh, trust me, dude, you will love that. You will love that. By the way, shout out to Jim. I love recording with Jim on Weird Science. That dude knows his stuff, and he's a really good friend. So I really appreciate Jim. I love the Tribes Game Fresh stuff. Yeah, Cameron, if you ever wanted to learn more about the Amazons, this one is literally the one for you. This, Perez, and even like, this is up. This is why I rank this as my third one, because all my top third runs expand on the Amazons' origins, their culture, or like their society so well. That is like, that will forever be the legacy of the Conrad run, that the Amazons got expanded. We even got to learn how someone goes from like a regular woman to an Amazon. Like, I'm like, I am here for this. I'm blown away with everything they were able to do with this run that they don't get enough credit for. That's the thing. Few writers have really expanded so much on Wonder Woman's world and made it so much more rich. And it's like every Amazon was like treated with respect and that they deserve. And I am like blown away with what they were able to do. Siegfried and Diana being friends, don't buy it, man. Not with a girl that's hot. Yeah, exactly. But again, Siegfried is one of the characters that I didn't dig about this run. But besides that, again, I can ignore that if there's so much good stuff in this. That's why I love this run. And this is what I want to leave you guys with. If there's a run that you like, that you hear is bad, or like that you think you hate, do a little experiment for me. I want you to like take out a piece of paper or something, or even do this in your head. Count up all the things it does good and all the stuff it does bad. If the good outweighs the bad, be a little more like lenient with your rating. If the bad outweighs the good, then absolutely go for it. But just like evaluate how it does, because this run has, in my opinion, few stuff that it's not necessarily bad. It's just stuff that I'm not necessarily the big fan of. Most of this stuff, I'm like, I love this so much, and it will forever stand as like, honestly, I feel like this run, even now, it's getting reevaluated by fans saying maybe I was a little too harsh on this run. So I feel like this run is eventually going to age beautifully. And you know what? I will be there for that. And I cannot wait. I cannot wait for it, because you know what? It's about time that like Wonder Woman's like runs that really added to the characters are like more like loved. But I think that that's a good place to leave it. So as for Comics League, at 5 p.m., we're going to be going live for movie night, where we're going to be talking about Superman versus the Elite. And then As for tomorrow, Britt and I are releasing Super Wonder Legacy episode. I'd be curious to hear talk about. Yes, those are on the list. I'm definitely going to talk about those for sure. I have to talk about Wilson because she's the one that broke up Diane and Steve. She gets a definite boost for that. But as for like, so Super Wonder Legacy episode 102, we're going to be discussing comparing Diana to Carol Danvers and how Marvel has screwed up Carol and how DC has screwed up Wonder Woman. There's going to be a lot of stuff. And as for Wonder Woman Wednesday, I have to think about what I want to do for that. But I'll let you guys know what other content we got packed up for the channel. But stay heroic, everyone. Remember, Steve Trevor, Steve Never. He belongs at the core of the sun. Zois and Maxabat for life. I will see you guys later. Bye-bye.